Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshaparine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to the essence of Gita. Today we will be covering chapter 12. Chapter 12 is also one of the most important chapter in Bhagavad Gita. To take us through this chapter, we have with us Shivalabji. Shivalabji is a very good orator and his classes are fantastic, and he has got the finest quality of leader, good administrator, good singer, musician, whatnot. So this 12th chapter is very important. It's known as devotional service, and he's practicing this devotional service for more than 35 years, and he's helping many of us to go take up to this process of devotional service. Are you ready to hear from him? We welcome Shivalabji to take us through chapter 12. Over to you.
Thank you, Jagavanji. Somebody else had to say something? Okay. Thank you. I hope I'm not muted. Yep, that's okay. Fine. Thank you. Welcome today to the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Before we proceed, I'm not going to read through all the house rules, but just to say, please let every one of you please put your mics on mute throughout the session. Post your questions on the chat forum, and at the end, we will have the opportunity to answer, hopefully, some of the questions, and the rest will be posted on the website. The past recordings are all on the website Academy of Vedic Sciences, and so I would request every one of you to pass on, read, reread, or hear them again, because they are not something that you just hear once and you'll be able to assimilate in full. So today, the picture is very apt. This chapter is called Devotional Service, Bhakti Yoga. Now, Jai Govind introduced me as somebody practicing Bhakti Yoga for 30 years. Bhakti Yoga and the quality of Bhakti Yoga doesn't come merely by the number of years of practice. It comes by the mercy of the Lord, comes by the mercy of the Guru. And so today, the Lord is also saying that. So we'll cover those particular topics. The mid 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, chapters 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, are supposed to be the crux of Bhagavad Gita. And a few days ago, I had the opportunity to cover the 9th chapter, which the Lord called the most confidential knowledge. The thread of bhakti is there right through, and we shall come on to that. So today, the picture is showing the Pancha Tattva deities, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the middle, Nityananda Mahaprabhu, Srivas Pandit, Sri Advaita, and Gadadhar. And later today, we'll have a small introduction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who really taught us what bhakti is and what serving Krishna is. So this is a very apt picture for the session today. And we thank His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada for his wonderful purpose and his lifelong service to be able to bring and educate all of us into a little bit of bhakti, infancy of bhakti. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This Mahamantra is the crux of devotional service, is the backbone, is the sum bonum of all that we're going to learn in devotional service. And so, just to give you a background, as we said, we are right in the midst of Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti is the theme, as I said. Yesterday, we had Harinam covering the 11th chapter. If you see very beautifully here, the 11th chapter, where Krishna shows his opulence in the form of the universal form, and you see not just Krishna here in his two-handed form, you see Krishna in the four-handed form as Vishnu, and Krishna in the Vishwarupa form. Okay, and Arjuna is watching and witnessing all of these forms. So Arjuna is freed from illusion after hearing the most confidential instructions that Lord Shri Krishna gave in the 10th chapter. But then he also, in the 10th chapter, 9th and 10th, there was a lot of devotional service being spoken about. But in the 11th, the Lord is moving to more the concept of Brahman and to show the Vishwarupa form of the Lord. But then today, in the 12th, there will be a very good comparison done between the Bhakti and the impersonalistic schools of thought. However, Arjuna here, to fulfill Arjuna's desire, the Lord grants him a divine vision. Divyam dadami te chakshuhu, Krishna says, I'm giving you spiritual vision. And with that vision, you'll be able to uphold or see and withstand this vast form of mind, which is called the Vishwarupa, the universal form. And then Krishna shows his universal form, which is full of opulences. He shows all the devas. He shows time, Kala. And Arjuna is very astonishingly seeing the spectacle and offers his namaskar again and again to Krishna. The brilliance, the powerful radiance frightens Arjuna in this particular section. And Arjuna sees the entire opposing army being engulfed into the mouth of the Vishwarupa, into the various mouths of Vishwarupa. He sees all of them having hundreds and hundreds of faces and mouths. And then Arjuna is then implored by Krishna to be an instrument for execution of Krishna's plan. He says, Nimitta matram pavasavya, you fight the battle, but actually I have done everything for you. All these people, this is before the battle, mind you. What Krishna says is, what you're going to see is in the battle, you're going to see destruction of all of your enemies and all those who are being destroyed. Arjuna is able to witness them as a preview, as a trailer, going right into the mouth of Krishna. And Arjuna is then offering prayers and obeisances to the Lord. He begs Krishna to forgive him for all his familiar dealings. Sakheti, he played with Krishna like a friend. And actually, even after hearing, watching all this, when Krishna is the charioteer of Arjuna, the charioteer, how will Arjuna direct the charioteer, tell him to go right and left? He'll kick with his right leg or his left leg, and the charioteer has to turn the chariot here and there. Imagine. In spite of seeing all this, Arjuna has to still do that. But then Arjuna says, please forgive me for all this. I've slept on the same bed with you. I've played with you. I've done everything like we were equals. They both were very much contemporaries, and it looked like equals. So Krishna is giving the background to say, both you and me have taken many births, but I can remember everything. He keeps saying that I'm the Lord. Okay, so, and Bhagavan Vacha is coming. But then Krishna, Arjuna is then falling at the feet of Krishna here. And he is now afraid, sweating by seeing the Vishwarupa form. And he asks for, in between, to see the beautiful form of Krishna, in the four-handed form of Krishna. So Krishna shows the four-handed form, Kiritinam, Chakrinam, Gadinam. And then when he sees the four-handed form, then Krishna shows the Saumya Vapu, the two-handed form, and he comes back, and Arjuna surrenders unto him. And then Krishna explains that his beautiful two-armed form is inconceivable even to demigods, devatas, by Vedesha, Yajna, Tapa, by Veda, Yajna, Tapasya, anything that you do, you can't get this form, Arjuna. What you're seeing, behold this. This is not something that anybody will get to see. You can't do it by study, penance, charity, and worship. And so the Lord is showing his magnificent form. Now, many people confuse that the Vishwarupa form is greater than the form of Krishna and the two-handed form, and many people think that the four-handed form is greater than Krishna and the two-handed form. And Krishna is later in this chapter again talks about his two-handed form, and he says in a personal form, because many times impersonalists say, oh, Krishna is another human being, he's a superhuman. Okay, they consider him as very specially equipped, but they can never realize him as God. So Krishna is going to beat all those illusions here today in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So in the 12th chapter, Krishna, in the 11th chapter again, just a summary before we get into 12, he's showing Arjuna's attachment to personal two-handed form. So Arjuna immediately feels happy when he sees the two-handed form of Krishna. And then after hearing the Lord's inestimable impersonal opulences, Arjuna wants to hear about devotional service. And to clarify his position as a devotee who works for Krishna as opposed to a jnani who renounces work. So very clearly, Arjuna is asking this question from Krishna. What should I do? Now, in chapter 12, is rightfully said, God. The earlier chapter, the acronym was Rupa, where Krishna showed his Vishwarupa. Here, he's saying, who is God? What is that Godhead? So he gives that view of Godhead. And the question from Arjuna is very point blank. He says, which is better? Those who worship you in the unmanifested form, or those who worship you with devotional service, worshiping and praying to your personal form? It's a direct question, and all of us have it. And this is a common dialogue that all Hindus have. Which is better, the personal form or the impersonal form? And there's always, many times, this particular battle between impersonalism and bhakti. And Krishna beats all those arguments here by summarizing his thoughts and summarizing. He gives the wonderful knowledge here. And then section B, which is verses 8 to 12, he talks about the progressive stages of devotion from the highest to the lowest. And there's a trick as to why he does that too. And that's called the options. He says, you can't do that. Okay, at least do this. If you can't do that, you at least do that. Which is then enthusing everybody to take up to gradually take infant steps, baby steps towards serving the Lord. And then he talks about the devotee's disposition. That is, who is a devotee? What are his qualities? Krishna actually lists 35 qualities of a devotee. The various other shastras describe 26 qualities of Vaishnava, but Krishna describes 36 qualities of a devotee. And then he sums up again here that describes that bhakti, he can only be reached by bhakti, and that he is controlled by his devotees. He shows us a beautiful form. So, bhakti is over impersonalism. Impersonalism is, we call it the Mayavada philosophy, that everything, Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya, and the fact that even the form of the Lord is not considered, they consider him in the Nirgun Nirakar form of the Lord. So in the first two chapters, in the first two verses, Arjuna is asking a question. One who is fixed his mind on Krishna, worshipping him with great transcendental faith, is considered more perfect, And Krishna says, the one who has fixed his mind on Krishna and worshipping him with transcendental faith is considered more perfect than one who worships the unmanifested, inconceivable, impersonal form. And then in the next few verses, the Lord talks about, yes, while even the person who worships the impersonal form will come to me, but he says, he comes to me after great difficulty. It describes various activities that the person has to do. And then Krishna says, but I personally deliver the devotees who undeviatedly are devoted to him. So here Krishna says, in the bhakti, in your endeavor for bhakti, it's not just that you take baby steps. I am there to support you and pull you up, right? So he very beautifully gives the view about how important bhakti is. So bhakti, the theme of bhakti is there right through in the second chapter, third chapter, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, and again, 11th ends with that. And now 12th is completely, he builds upon the theory of bhakti. And Krishna does not just focus on bhakti, he is comparing it with the worship of the impersonal form or the unmanifested form of the Lord. And so by comparing that, he says bhakti is supreme. And he makes no doubtful statements. He makes very clear statement about it. Now in the first text, there are only 20 shlokas in this chapter, and each one of them are stars. We will cover a few of the important verses, but I will try to see whether I can read a few or more. Arjuna uvacha evam satata yuktana yuktaye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. The Bhagavad Gita as it is, that we follow, has got very beautifully the shloka. It's got a transliteration where you can read it from English. It has word-to-word meaning. It's got a translation. It's got a commentary. All the slides that you see here are summarization mainly from the commentary. And the commentary is not just the words of what Srila Prabhupada writes. The commentary is a condensation of all the teachings of the Vaishnava Acharyas. That is why it is very authentic. And we call it the Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Krishna gave and as understood by Krishna's devotees, who are the great Vaishnavas. So in this verse, Krishna says, Arjuna inquired, Arjuna says, which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? It says, bhaktas tvam paryupasate. Your devotees who are doing upasana, or those who are worshipping aksharam avyayam. So the unmanifest form, the form that is not visible, the form that is not visible to the material senses. Which is better? Tesham ke. Ke means which one? Yoga vittamaha, which is supreme. Arjuna asks a direct question. Which is better, impersonalism or personalism? And that question, Krishna, basically, it says that there are two classes of transcendentalists. Both are devotees, but the personalist engages himself directly with the energy, with all his energy in serving the Supreme Lord. And the impersonalist engages in meditation, in impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. So there are various ways by which the impersonalists worship, but there's one which is direct worship of Krishna, and there are the others which are the impersonalistic worship, which sometimes can be indirect. Now, what Arjuna thinks of other processes, worship of the impersonal feature, Arjuna thinks, it's a waste of time since one cannot perfectly conceive of impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Earlier in the 6th chapter, we saw Arjuna says, the Ashtanga Yoga system is very difficult. It is very, very difficult. How can I perform this, right? So Arjuna has this conception also. And he knows Arjuna is a great devotee of the Lord, but he is specifically posing the question because we know that devotees will constantly be discussing and maybe fighting with each other as which is a better path. So Arjuna wants clarity right from the mouth of Krishna as to what Krishna thinks is the better path. So the personal form of Krishna is best because all other forms could be understood, and no disturbance to love for Krishna happens in the personal form. So the conclusion of every chapter of Bhagavad Gita is attached to the personal form of the Lord. The second chapter, the 647, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana. Similarly, the 7th and 8th, and anyone who thinks of Krishna at the time of death, antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati nastyatya samshayaha. Only way to have association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is devotional service. That aspect is being clearly brought about here. Right. Now, the next verse, Krishna is directly answering this. He says, Mayeva mana adatsva. Sorry, Maya Veshya Manoyemam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopeta Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. Straight away, the answer is given in this just one verse instantly by Krishna here. Maya Aveshya. Aveshya means, fully apply yourself in thinking about him. Mano yemam nitya yukta upasate, and every day they are involved in worshipping me. Shraddhaya, which Shraddha? Parayopeta, te me yukta tamamata. They I consider to be supreme. He says, those, the Supreme Personality of God said, those who fix their minds on my personal form are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith. Are considered to me to be most perfect. So Krishna gives a straight answer to Arjuna's question without beating about the bush and saying this and that. He goes straight in. And so getting on to this particular shloka, which is a very important one again, Krishna's opinion. Okay, and he says, why most perfect? Huh? He says, Krishna says, always engaged in worshipping me. They are always engaged in worshipping me. And they are worshipping me with great transcendental faith. Krishna says, with Shraddha, with determination, and with their minds fixed on my personal form. Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhradam sarvabhutanam jnaptva mam shanti mrichati. He says, manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyamte mame vaishyati tvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. So he says, those devotees who are completely surrendered to me are supreme. And what is action in Krishna consciousness? The Krishna conscious activities, bhakti, activities and bhakti of a devotee are not material. Whatever you do is already on the spiritual plane. Though we are in the material plane, whatever spiritual activities we do takes us to the spiritual plane. So pure devotee is in full samadhi because of his constant engagement. And what is his engagement? He's always satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dhatavrutaha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. He's always chanting, hearing, cooking for him, shopping for him, washing utensils for him, cleaning the temples, washing the temples, or cleaning the dishes, and does not waste a single moment. Every moment of his life is spent in the thoughts of the Lord. So then Krishna says, in the next, he says, he compares now to the impersonalist. And he says, Etu aksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatragam achintyam cha kutastam achalam dhruvam sanyamyendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha te prapnuvanti mameva sarvabhuta hiterataha. Etu aksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate. Earlier it was those who were worshipping the Lord. Okay, nitya yukta upasate shraddhaya paryopata. Okay, so here now he's saying avyaktam paryupasate. Those who worship the unmanifested form will also reach Krishna. He said they will also come to me. Te prapnunti mameva. They will also come to me. But sarva bhuta. But he says eva. But he gives that it is eventually. It is said here because later he's going to say how difficult it is to follow this path of impersonal worship. So the characteristics of impersonal conception of the absolute truth are that the Lord is unmanifest, he's beyond sense perception, he's all pervading everywhere. You can see him everywhere. You can see that his presence is there everywhere. He's inconceivable, he's unchanging, he's fixed, he's immovable. These are the characteristics of the impersonal conception of the Lord. And how can we worship such an unmanifested form? By controlling various senses, by being equally disposed to everybody. You look at everybody and you see the Lord in them, by engaging in welfare for all. But it is difficult for one who has a body. So the picture that is put in is also representative as to how the yogi has to do so much, an impersonalist has to do so much. And so the Lord is giving the difficult aspect. And the difficulty bit, he comes in here in the very next shloka, where he says, Klesho, klesha means difficulty. Klesho adhikatarastesham avyaktasakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbir avapyate. For those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Supreme advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Watch out. He's talking about difficulties two times. He says, Klesho adhikatarastesham. Klesha means a great difficulty. And it is adhikataraha. It is supremely difficult, he says. Avyakta sakta setasam. To worship the Lord in the avyakta form is very, very, very difficult. Many times people talk about avyakta, but many of them are actually atheists. They don't want to follow anything properly, so they say avyakta form. But actual form of avyakta worship is also very, very difficult. So the Lord is saying very clearly, Klesho adhikatarastesham, avyakta sakta chetasam. And what happens to those who worship in the avyakta form? Avyaktahi gatir dukkham. Their gati, their final destination is dukkham. Why is it difficult? They have admiravapyate. When you have a body, it is very difficult for you to understand the Lord in his impersonal form. The Lord has a personal form. The Lord is pervading everywhere and has an impersonal form. But some people think that the impersonal form is everything, and the Lord, when he takes the personal form, is just a temporary thing. So people sometimes use words that we Vaishnavas never use, saying Krishna came and Krishna went back. But because we have a body, everything that we relate to is connected to the body. Now, if you talk about somebody as a president of America and you don't see his photo and you don't know his qualities, you don't know anything about him. But when you see a photo and when you see the person's behavior, then you're able to relate with him. So when we have a body, then we are able to relate with the personal form of the Lord way better. And when you have the body and when you are engaged in this body, to worship the Lord who is impersonal is very, very difficult. And so the Lord is qualifying it twice to say it is very difficult. So the two groups of transcendentals, the bhakti yogis and the jnana yogis. The bhakti yogis are those who are in full Krishna consciousness, engaged in service, and the process is a direct process. And the bhakti yoga accepts the deity of Krishna as worshipable because Krishna is present everywhere. Many times impersonalists say, why are you limiting Krishna within the body? No, Krishna is everywhere. He's in every atom. So why not? Why is he not there in the murti that you see in the temple? When you go to a temple, you are not seeing the Lord as just made of wood or made of panchaloha or made of marble or granite. No, you're saying, we have spoken about this before. You are seeing the Lord who is personally present there. And actually, there are stories of Ramanujacharya and all the acharyas who have personally conversed with the Lord. So, Lord is present everywhere. He's omnipresent and omnipotent, and therefore, he is very much there in the personal form. And nobody can say the Lord is not there in the personal form. And the Lord himself is saying that avajananti mam mudaha manushim tanumashritam param bhava majananto mamabhuta maheshwaram. He says that avajananti, they do not know, mam muda, they do not know that I am. These people are foolish. So the jnana yogis, they follow the path of inconceivable unmanifest, and this process is very, very troublesome. Krishna is not mincing words, he's making a point directly. Then again, in the verses, next verse 6 and 7, again, he says that he's comparing here. I won't go into this slide. I've spoken many of these aspects. He compares the difficulties of the impersonalist to the advantages of the personalist. So the difficulties are, the process is very difficult and they only achieve partial realization. The Lord is called Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. The impersonalists only see the Sat and Chit, eternal and knowledgeable part, conscious, but they miss out on the blissful part. The blissful part comes when we are able to see the Lord and enjoy blissfully all the association of the Lord and his devotees. In Bhakti Yoga, the Vaishnavas see that. So the advantages of personalists, they have direct, and there's no risk here in the process. In this process of impersonalists, they may fall down. They may not ever achieve perfection. But here, the Lord, in the impersonal path, you have to do your own endeavor. But in the bhakti path, you take one step and the Lord takes 100 steps. The Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. If you take one step, as you have normally heard, the Lord takes 10 steps towards you. This is what we want. Yeah, infants. When a child is just growing up, the child is trying to walk, the father and the mother are just holding it mildly, and then the child begins to walk. So that holding is done by the Vaishnavas, the Guru, and the Lord himself. And the devotees of the Lord are able to see and realize the Lord in his full form as Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Okay, many times impersonalism, as I said, is tending towards atheism. Then deity worship is not idol worship. I've already spoken about this. And so deity worship is very important form, because when you offer something to the deity, sometimes through the mercy of your guru, you offer to the deity, it goes. It's like a person who is putting, when you're putting your mail in the mailbox, the post office comes, takes it, and it reaches there. So the deity form is a methodology, is a via media to reach the Lord. And as it is a true representative of the Lord, Prana Pratishtha has done, the Lord is personally present in every temple and every form that you worship. So, but that doesn't mean we worship unauthorized forms. We worship authorized forms that are mentioned in the Vedas. So we need to carefully worship. So it's not worship anybody, because oftentimes other religions tell that, for Hindus, you worship anything and everything, a monkey, a rat, you worship anything and everything. No, the real worship is Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam. But then the various aspects of the Lord and the hierarchy are respected, but that it is not worship. Worship is for one, and that one is the Supreme Personality of God. Then again, this is a detailed comparison. We have gone into detail. These charts we shall post for all of you that you can see in the video. So he is directly comparing between the impersonalist and the personalist, but ultimately the point 6 is most important. The impersonalist depends on his own endeavor, but the personalist, because Krishna himself recommends the process and Krishna is suggesting it. So out of paternal love, Krishna, by his costless mercy, he is coming to help us. And so this will enable us to completely surrender and achieve perfection. Yeah. And again, the comparison here is between Brahman and Bhagavan. We have also talked about it. Okay. But the main differences here is Sat Chit is only realized by the impersonal, but in Bhagavan, personal realizes the eternality. Sat, Chit, knowledge, and bliss, Ananda, is fully realized. And the Lord is there in his full 6 opulences. Now, in the next verse, again, the Lord is comparing. Now, jumping on to comparing the impersonal here. He says, Etu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matpara ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. He's comparing bhakti yogis with impersonalist again. He says, Tesham aham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha mayyaveshita chetasam. This is where the Lord is giving the promise that I will take you quickly. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, ananyaha, ananyenaiva, he says, ananyas chintayantoma, we saw that, engaged in devotional service and always meditating upon me, having fixed their minds upon me, O son of Pritha, for them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So the Lord says, I deliver them. Samudharta, mrityu samsara sagarat. This material life is full of miseries and mrityu, janama mrityu, samsara, the cycle of birth and death, the sagara, the ocean of the material world. But Krishna says, bhavami nachirat. Nachirat means very quickly, not after a long time. The impersonalist philosophy, he says, after a long time with a great difficult path, you may achieve goal A. But here, you will achieve goal A, that is me, in my perfect form, fully understanding me very, very quickly. Maya Veshita Chetasam. For those who apply their mind and fix their minds totally in me. That's the importance of this particular verse. So the only way to appreciate the Supreme Personality of Godhead is devotional service. So this is the crux of this chapter, where he brings everybody into devotional service. And then he says, a person in devotional service realizes God is great, individual soul is subordinate, Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Nityera Krishna Das. The Jiva, Jivatma, is eternally a servant of Paramatma, of Krishna, or of Bhagavan. And the process is simple. All you need to do is just chant Hare Krishna. Just sing and dance and just do things that you love to do in serving Krishna. And Krishna's promise is, without delay, I will deliver you from this miserable materialistic condition. And we have earlier, I've talked about the example of how Garuda comes to pick up and help the sparrow. And similarly, the Lord takes responsibility, like how the child, I have given that example already, for a person whose mind is completely devoted to the Lord. But the fortunate devotees again are delivered by the Lord very soon. And what are the principles? Three things: mind completely fixed on the Lord, standard of devotion, so one can do any work, but work only for Krishna. Do anything that you can. Use your capabilities in serving the Lord. And desire for His pleasure. Don't desire for your pleasure. When you desire for your pleasure, it becomes karma. And then it binds you in this material world. Desire for the pleasure of the Lord. Anything you do, think, will this please the Lord? And am I inching towards the Lord in some way or the other? Then you are able to please the Lord, and that becomes prema or bhakti, and that is the ultimate what is being described here in this chapter. The sign of intelligence is to always prefer devotional service compared to other paths. So Krishna says again and again, this is easier, this is the highest path, please take shelter of this supreme path. And so let us follow it very simply. That is the simple one. Just chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Srila Prabhupada used to say, chant and be happy. And the highest perfection of life is to take that shelter of the omnipotent Krishna. Section B, 8 to 12, Lord is giving various options, progress stages of devotion. The Lord gives that devotional service is the ultimate, but He says, if you cannot do it, what can you do? So generally we will tell people, fine, do this, step A. If you can do that, good. Then you move to step B, step C, and you are able to progress. When you go from first standard, second standard, third standard, college, and then to PhD. But here the Lord says, what is that PhD level? And then He says, you can't do that. Then come one step. Now He is so merciful as a father. Many times the father says, do this. But when the child is not able to do it, He makes it a little easy, right? So when we are fallen into this materialistic well of ignorance in this material world, and we want the Lord reaches out through the devotees a rope, and sometimes you're not able to reach the rope, then the Lord reaches the rope a little further down to you, makes it easy and enabled to you, and as simple as patram pushpam phalam toim, He says. So the Lord living within the heart by continuously fixing one's mind and intelligence upon Him, He says you can move. But then if you cannot, practice the regulator principles of bhakti yoga to increase one's desire and ability to remember and obtain. If you cannot do that, surrender one's work to Krishna and surrender the results of your work. If you cannot do that, if you cannot work for Krishna, then you surrender the results of one's work to Krishna. Or if you cannot even do that, to cultivate meditation or knowledge. So Krishna is going downward on the ladder to say, if you can't do that, one step lower, one step lower. He's setting us a target, and He's slowly trying to encourage us to get to that. So in verse number 8, and gradually He takes us, but the topmost is to mind to be fixed on Krishna. That is verse 8 that we will go to. If you cannot do that, then you do through sadhana bhakti. Follow the rules, regulations, do everything. Best is you're constantly thinking of Krishna, doing everything for Krishna, your life fully surrendered to Him. If you cannot do that, at least regulate yourself to say, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll do this much time of bhakti, I'll do this, I will do that, step by step by step. You try to rise up, and you can do things for Krishna. So do some basic activities, do seva, and whatever you do, try and see whether you can do yat karoshi yadashnasi, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Do what you can, work for Him. If you cannot do that, He says, at least give the results of that work to me. There are many people who can't do anything, no devotional service. They are at least earning a lot of money. Many businessmen don't have time for devotion, right? So at least give that as charity. That is also okay. Krishna is giving a discount after discount after discount. If you can't do that, renounce the results, and then you get purified. Cultivate knowledge, meditation. That is the lowest stage, but that's an indirect stage, but that is still a positive stage in rising up towards devotion. If you start in that stage, if you take the first step, then you will gradually elevate, right? Then the Lord says, Mayeva mana adatsva, Mayi buddhim niveshaya, nivashishyasi mayeva, ata urdhvam na samshaya. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. This is one of the most important verses of Bhagavad Gita. He gives the crux of what a devotee should do. Fix your mind upon the Lord. Ena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat is another aphorism. What they say there? By hook or crook, place it. You like kirtan? Do kirtan. You like to eat Krishna prasadam? Do that. You like to go to a temple and do service? Do that. You like to chant? Do that. You like to dance, do that. Whatever you want, do that. By hook or crook, apply your mind upon it. If one process is not working, try the other process. But the most important result is that you should know how to apply your mind upon him. And then he says, engage all your intelligence in me. Apply your intelligence. Think innovatively. Do things. Think, read, study about what Krishna has told him. Study it properly. Merely by doing it without intelligence, sometimes you may end up falling down. Just blind faith. You don't just follow blind faith. Once you know Krishna is supreme, you also know what Krishna is saying. Read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. All of you are here on the stage, and we are all here reading and trying to memorize and understand what Krishna is saying. That is the way of using the intelligence. And so Krishna says, thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So this is a very important verse of Bhagavad Gita, and this is the topmost. And he says the devotee is transcendental from the very beginning. That is, you just take the first step towards Krishna. From that time onwards, Krishna is protecting you, and you are already in the path of progression. And Krishna is your personal protector. Rakshishyati iti vishwa. So have that faith that Krishna will protect you. So in devotional service, one lives in a direct relationship. Not that only when you become a topmost devotee, you have a direct relationship. Even if you're a child, you just offer a flower to Krishna with love. Krishna starts accepting and reciprocating your love immediately. So you are in that direct relationship from day one when you get into bhakti. Everything that you do becomes Krishna-ized, as we say. So how to do everything in the service of the Lord. That is the most important aspect of here. When the devotee honors prasadam, he becomes Krishna-ized. So then let's move on to the next verse here. Krishna then says, Atha chittam samadatum na shaknosi maistiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjuna, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. There are various ways. Adav Shraddha. The other way, Ulta, where you start is you start with Shraddha and then you gradually go up to the highest platform. But the steps in Bhakti Yoga are accepting a guru, rising up in the morning, chanting the names of the Lord, visiting holy places, doing namaskar, doing puja. These are all the steps by which you can gradually rise up. And as you read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, you rise up and your tender faith becomes firm faith. Firm faith then turns into experience, and then you start to experience loving relationship with Krishna. So Krishna says, if you cannot fix your mind fully without devotion, then follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga and then follow me. So here he says, okay, and how to do it? That is, rise early, accept the guidance of a guru, rise early, enter the temple and offer prayers, chant Hare Krishna, offer flower to deities, honor prasadam, constantly hear Bhagavad Gita, and anyone can practice. There is no real qualification. Anybody just take one tiny step, Krishna is there to immediately reciprocate. And there's a guarantee of success. That is the only thing. This process is 100% guaranteed. Sometimes they say, like you go for a corona test and they say, no, I have to take a flight in 24 hours. If I go to this hospital, they give me a test result in 12 hours. For sure. You go there, it can be 24 hours or 36 hours or 48 hours. What will you do? You will select a guaranteed path, right? Krishna is giving you here a guaranteed path, easy path, cheap, easy. When I say cheap, I'm not saying that it is cheap, that it is low. I'm saying it is easy to perform. And so when Arjuna was saying, other paths are very difficult, this path, Krishna says, Susukam kartum avyayam, right? We have heard about that before in the 9th chapter too. So Krishna says, this is very easy. Please accept it. Sadhana bhakti. You can follow the rules and regulations. Then, if you cannot do that, he says, Abhyasepya samartosi mat karma paramo bhava madartam api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsisi. If you cannot practice the regulation principles of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage and you will come to me. So this is what Krishna is saying here in this particular verse number 10, as we are covering here. And Krishna, okay, did I move a couple of stages backwards? No. Yeah. Okay. It says work for Krishna. If you cannot think of him always, your mind is not applied on him always, then Krishna says, to, devotional service according to sadhana bhakti, according to rules and regulations. If you cannot even do that, then work for me. What can you do work for him? And those work. How can you work? You can, Krishna is so sympathetic. And so he says, fine, if you cannot do that, then do this. Do step A, step B. And so he's guiding us step by step as to how we can grow. And he says, every endeavor, okay, how can you work for Krishna? You can work in encouraging this Krishna bhakti everywhere. You can reach out this Bhagavad Gita, this jnana of Bhagavad Gita to everybody that you see. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna upadesh. Amaragnya Guruhana. Krishna says, Chaitanya Prabhu says, become a guru. Every one of us should become a guru and speak about it. We should teach everybody. So many of our people who so-called Hindus do not know anything about Bhagavad Gita. It is very important that we all learn it and we all give this Bhagavad Gita to others. You can help in building temples, distributing Bhagavad Gitas, and perform activities that will attract others into following their faith properly. So engage all the senses and intelligence in working for Krishna. Then Krishna says, gradually perform devotional service. That's ultimate. Cannot do follow regulative principles. Cannot do work for Krishna. If you cannot do that, at least do whatever work you do. Stay where you are. Sthane sthitaha sarva karma phalatyagam. Whatever activities you do, there is some result to it, right? The result may be in the form of punya. The result may be in the form of some money that you may get. Give up those results, or at least utilize a part of it, a small percentage every month. It will be good to set apart a small amount to be able to be in service of devotees, in service of reaching out this knowledge to others, distributing books to others, etc. So this is a very important activity that all of us have to perform. And Krishna says, so the recommendation is, the accumulated results, sacrifice it for some good cause, CSR activities, do good for others, right? But the ultimate good you can do for others is give this knowledge to others. And one may gradually elevate to the stage of knowledge, and social service and others are in the lower stages. But the ultimate stage is when you start giving this knowledge of Krishna to others. Then, so very beautiful ladder, as he's saying. If you cannot do this, then do that, and step by step. Okay? So he says, either cultivate knowledge. If you cannot do that, again, further he says in 12, get to meditation. If you cannot do that, then renounce the fruits of action. And then you can, at least by benefits of such renunciation, you will achieve peace of mind. So the 12th verse, again, Krishna says here, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa dhyanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phalatyagat tyagat shantir anantaram. So he talks about dhyana, he talks about jnana, he talks about first is jnana, then he talks about dhyana. We talked about all of this in the initial chapters, right? So dhyana yoga, jnana yoga, then nishkama karma yoga, and then you come on to finally buddhi yoga. That is where it comes on. Then, so work for Krishna is the theme in this particular chapter. I'm jumping the slide to move on to the last section. The last section, Krishna is giving a very beautiful overview of all the devotee can do, the qualities. The qualities he lists here are 35 qualities he lists here. And he says, from the highest to the lowest again, even the qualities. He said, the following qualities make one dear to Krishna. And he talks about it, we'll get there. But in summary, he says, non-enviousness, no envy. From the beginning, he's talking about non-envy. Kindness, be charitably inclined, be kind to others. And freedom from false ego, equality in happiness and distress, satisfaction, placing no one in difficulty, don't trouble others, anxietylessness, being free and anxietyless, independence from ordinary course of activities, purity, expertise. When you hear these words, I want all of you to think, do I have this? What should I do to get to this? Now, there are 35 of these. To work towards each one of them and work towards each one in an organized way is difficult. The easy way to work towards all of them is to become a devotee. All these qualities, sarve gunaha tatra samahitaha, the Shastras say. When a devotee is there, the devotee has got all good qualities. And so Krishna is now explaining all the good qualities of a devotee, is glorifying devotees. Now, we have heard enough of Krishna's glory. Krishna is talking of the glory of devotees here. And he says, expert, devotee is an expert. Daksha, he is free from lamentation. He is grasping of neither pleasure nor grief. Equality with both friends and enemies. I love him and I hate him. This country, that country. No, equipoised, equiposition, and honor and dishonor. If somebody is not respecting you, still you respect him. In heat and cold, freedom from contamination, silence, mauni, and established a knowledge, jnani, and fully santushta. And anyone who faithfully follows this particular path of devotional service, making Krishna the supreme goal, is very dear to him, as the last in verse 20. Let's run through the qualities that Krishna is enumerating here for devotees, and all of us should think about these qualities and see how we should get them. Adveshta, non-envious and kind to everyone. Even to enemy we should be kind. Then he says santushtaha, always satisfied. We have a big problem in this world. You get a salary of 15,000 dirhams. As soon as you got a promotion, you get 20,000 dirhams. Within months, you started looking somebody else and I want 25,000 dirhams, 50,000 dirhams. You're never ever satisfied. We are not satisfied with even relationships. When somebody is doing something good for you, even that we don't say thanks many times. But a devotee should always be satisfied. We should also not just be satisfied with what he has and what he sees others helping him. He should be satisfied that what you have given me, I'm satisfied with it. That is called santushta. If you do not have santushta, if you do not adjust your expectations in life, even when somebody is getting married, there's an expectation of how the opposite sex, the spouse, is going to relate. Expectation is that he is going to be the highest. He is going to be looking as beautiful as Shah Rukh Khan, or I don't know whether Shah Rukh Khan is beautiful as this actress, or as handsome as this man. Then you are just looking at material life. No, you have to look at the beauty of the heart and be content with. Some fallacies are there in everybody. We need to know how to be happy with what we have. Don't look at the half tumbler that is empty. Look at the half cup that is full. Be happy with what you have. And nirmanaha, no sense of proprietorship. Everything belongs to Krishna. Tolerant, very tolerant. What is this tolerance? A lot of difficulties happen to us. Sometimes others are inflicting it. Sometimes we think I'm doing so much, but nothing is happening. But a devotee who is very, very tolerant, there's one more slide on it. A devotee who is very tolerant becomes the Sahi Patra. Krishna thinks, oh, this man, in spite of so much difficulties I've given him to test him, is still withstanding and doing devotional service. I have to serve him first. So Achirena, he comes in and he helps you. And Yathatma is self-control. Maya arpita mano buddhi, and the devotee is always applying his buddhi in serving the Lord. This is the most important aspect. These are the top qualities that Krishna lists here in the first. And Dhrida Nishchayaha, and he is always firmly in faith that Krishna is there to protect me. He is my friend. Sukhrudam sarvabhutanam. Then in the next verse, in verses 15, Krishna says, I'm not getting into that shloka in full. Due to possibility of lack of time, I want to move a little faster. The thought process of a devotee in a distressful condition is, okay, what is the result of thinking in the way? He thinks that the Lord shows mercy upon him. And he thinks that he has done so much of bad activities, maybe in the past Janma or even in this Janma, that what punishment the Lord is giving him as Papa for all his Papa in the past is very, very dwindled. So let us not, as soon as a scratch comes, let us not start accusing the Lord. We need to say that we possibly have done so much of nonsense, Janma Janmantar, but Krishna is giving me less trouble. Look at it from that angle, and you see how much of stress and anxiety gets out of you. As soon as we think that we do one small offering to the Lord, one flower, and oh, Krishna, give me this, then that's where the expectations become too high, and we have a problem. And Krishna is always calm, quiet. The devotee is always calm, quiet, patient, despite many disrespectful conditions. And he becomes, such a person becomes eligible. Attenu kampam tu samikshamano Bhunjana evatma kratam vipakam hridvakvapibir vidadan namaste jiveteyo mukti pada sa dhayabhak. Dhayabhak, he says, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Dhayabhak. So we should be so tolerant that the Lord is first watching us and he wants to come and help us out in that situation. A devotee never causes distress to others, and he does not affect others. He does not agitate others, even if others affect him, like Prahlad tolerated what his own father did. So we have to be tolerant and we should not cause distress to others. Tit for tat. He did that, I will also do this. No, no, no. Follow Gandhi's philosophy here. But not that you just totally get subservient. You have to wake up and say, I will put a fight. Then you will slow down. But we need to be tolerant, and definitely we should try and avoid causing insult to others or difficulty to others. And also, we should not kill animals as much as we can. We should avoid it. That is why bhaktas try to become vegetarians. That's important. Avoid killing. Even animals are living entities. Then the Lord says, Anapekshaha, Suchirdaksha, Udasino Gatavyataha, Sarvaramba Parityagi, Yomad Bhakta Same Priyaha, Same Priyaha, Same Priyaha. Krishna says, such a devotee is very dear to me. Such a devotee is very dear to me. Such a devotee is very dear to me. He is going one step after another. Anapeksha is one person who is neutral. Something happens, good or bad, he is happy. Suchi is always clean. Saucha, Daksha is an expert in whatever he does and is free from care. He is not worried. Udasina is never udas. Then Gatavyataha is free from all distress. And Sarvaramba Parityagi. Many times we start too many things. Do this, do that, too active. And we don't have time to focus on the Lord. We need to know how to slow down, how to, I would say, reduce and declutter our lives and think more about one person. Even we should not declutter our puja room. If we clutter our puja room too much, even that is difficult. So we have to declutter everything, and we need to know how to worship the Lord. Then the Lord says, he neither rejoices too much, yona hrishyati na dveshti na sochati na kankshati, and he is not worried about too many things. He neither laments nor desires. And we have seen a similar sort of a statement coming by the Lord again and again. And then he says, unaffected by material emotions. And what are these material emotions that he is talking about here? He says, Samashatrauta mitrecha tatamanaapamanayoho shitoshna sukha dukkeshu samasanga vivarjitaha tulyaninda stutirmauni santushto yena kenachit aniketa stiramati bhaktimanya same priyaha. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association. Satsangatve nissangatvam. We should attach to satsanga and we should get away from dussanga. And who is satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Then this whole thing, he suggests various qualities. One is attitude towards himself. Then he talks about dealing with other living entities. And then he talks about reaction when things happen to him. So these are the various qualities that he's summarizing into these four categories. Dealings with the Lord, how to be dealt with the Lord. So we need to see how these qualities that we need to have. So attitude towards oneself, we should be free from the sense of false proprietorship, free from false ego, and we should be pain-free. We should not be too much engaged with too many activities. Then we should be non-envious, dealing with others. How should we deal with others? This is a good equation as to how a devotee should lead. He should not be envious of others. Usko mila, mujhe nahi mila. And he should be equal to friends and enemies. And he is without care. And he is always free from contaminating association. And he likes to be silent. Talk less, hear more. Krishna also says, first word is Shravanam Kirtanam. First is to hear, then only to talk. And talk also about Krishna. Unnecessarily we talk too much, which is not necessary. And then reaction to things when happen to him, he is always satisfied, tolerant, self-controlled, he is neutral, neither too much rejoices. Suddenly something comes, he jumps. Some people, too much happiness, they have heart attack. No, neither too much rejoicing, neither lamentation. And he is transcendental in the face of all the bliss. He knows that Krishna is there to protect him, and he does not care for any residence. He's not worried too much about his level of brands and condition of living. He wants a place where he can serve the Lord peacefully. And with Lord, he's determined, his mind and intelligence is fixed on him, and he's engaged in devotional service, and he is fixed. And to such a devotee, the Lord says, what happens? Etu dharmyam amritamidam yatoktam paryupasate shraddadhana matparama bhaktaste ativa me priyaha same priyaha. Now it is ativa me priyaha. This devotee now I'm going to talk about is most very, very, very dear to me. Who is he? those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, 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 very dear. Krishna says, Ativa, Athaiva is the dearest of all. And he says, they follow the imperishable path of devotional service, they make Krishna as the supreme goal, and they completely engage themselves in this faith. The last slide for today. So Krishna has very beautifully compared here. Arjuna asked a question directly about the impersonal path and the personal path. Krishna says, those who take to impersonal path, it is recommended only if one surrenders completely, and it is beneficial as long as one does not have a chance to associate with a pure devotee. But he says it is not for one who works without fruitive results. Fortunately, if one develops a direct desire, then better is the direct path. Krishna recommends that without doubt, devotional service is the only absolute path of self-realization. By good association, one develops attachment for pure devotional service. Then one accepts a bona fide guru, and then one begins this process of devotional service. And as a conclusion, Krishna says devotional service, as described in the middle 6 chapters, is most congenial. It's easily performed. One need not bother about materials to keep body and soul together. By the grace of the Lord, everything is carried automatically. The last slide, he gives 5 practices that awakens the love of Krishna. This was taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavad Shravana, Mathuravasa, Shri Murtira, Shraddhera Sevana. First is Sadhu Sangha, associate with devotees. 2, Nama Kirtana, chant the holy names of the Lord. 3, Bhagavata Shravana, hear the glories of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathuravasa, go to spiritual places, reside in spiritual places. Shri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana, personal form of the Lord. Perform Murti, not idol, perform devotional service to the deity. And then he says, Shakala Sadhana Shreshta E Pancha Anga, Krishna Prema Janamaya E Panchera Alpa Sangha. These 5 limbs of devotional service are the best of all. Even a slight performance of these for 5 awakens love of Krishna. Even a little bit of whatever we can do of these 5 items awakens our love for Krishna. So that is devotional service. We should try and see how to adopt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them as much as we can. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnoho, Smaranam Pada Sevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmani Vedanam. That ends the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna very boldly asks the question about impersonalism and personalism. And Krishna says, for those who are embodied, personal form is the best way of worship, and that is my opinion. Then who are we to decide that, why are we limiting the personal form to say the personal form of the Lord is not this and not that? And we are limiting the Lord to the form. No. The Lord is unlimited, whether he is in a personal form or in the personal form. But the Lord in the personal form is more congenial for us who have a body. And therefore, this is the best way of worship. And that doesn't mean it's only ABC level. It is the ultimate level, because whatever you do, ultimately, you have to achieve the Lord. So, thank you very much. We're going to have question answers today again. And after the question answers, I also want to explain, and we have a special speaker who will tell us about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What is this moment of bhakti that he brought about? So let's open the floor for the question answers. I will possibly remove the slides right now, and I would want to see the faces of everybody. We would also, go through the chat forum, and I would request and invite my colleague and friend Mohan Das to come forward. I think you are my partner today.
Yes.
Thank you. Welcome, Mohan.
So, thank you so much, Shivalabji. That was fantastic. So we have, yes, as usual, we have a very august audience.
Can we pin both, questions, please?
So the first question, maybe I'll take. Shivala Prabhu can probably sip a water by the time I take the first question. First question is pretty simple, so that's why I'm also taking it. Who has given this Mahamantram? So because this came up in the very beginning, I believe it is the Mahamantra which is referred to as the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashaka Namnam, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. So this particular mantra actually comes in the Kali Sanantara Upanishad. Yeah. So we have explained earlier that we are all spirit souls and we've got this body. The body is a machine. Now, whenever we go to a market to buy a machine, along with the machine, you get a manual. Yeah. So this body's machine is what all the various scriptures which are there are like how to use this body to the right purpose. Yeah. Now, based on which yuga, there are specific actions that can be taken for making use of your body in the right way so that the soul can get liberated. So in the Kali Yuga, what is the right way? That is what is explained in the Kali Sanantara Upanishad. Yeah. So in this Upanishad, there is a discussion between Lord Brahma and Narada, yeah, where Narada Muni is very much concerned, saying that how will people in the Kali Yuga, how will they get liberated? And that is when Lord Brahma specifically mentions these 32 syllable mantra, 16 words, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that is how this particular mantra is, this Maha Mantra, which is like a Chavanprash mantra. You don't need a guru. Everybody can start chanting it without any rules and regulations. You can chant anywhere and it will give you benefit. That is what the Maha Mantra is. Okay, next one is BG a part of the epic Mahabharata? When was it written? If it was spoken to sun god, why it was not studied in the other yugas along with the Vedas? So actually, yes, BG is part of the epic Mahabharata. And when it was written, actually, it was in the Shruti form. It was in words format, only it was transmitted through words. But around 5,000 odd years ago, Vyasadeva actually sat down to script all of the particular Mahabharata, especially the two Itihasas, Ramayana and also Mahabharata. So Mahabharata got written by Vyasadeva in the Vyasa Gufa, and we have seen that picture in our sessions earlier, where he is dictating it out and Lord Ganesha is writing out the entire Mahabharata. And if it was spoken to sun god, if it's spoken to sun god, it was same knowledge was spoken. Yeah. So it's not that the Bhagavad Gita was spoken as Krishna presents it to Arjuna. The knowledge of that particular Bhagavad was spoken by Lord Krishna to Vivaswan. He says, this knowledge, I have described this knowledge to sun god. Yeah, that's what the understanding is as per. So next one, I will give it to Srivala Prabhu. It says, when one is fully into bhakti, but avoids his material responsibilities of family, what about such a person? Does he also qualify for the supreme abode of the Lord, or fulfilling his karma also is equally important? What is your opinion, Srivala Prabhu?
Okay, Hare Krishna. There are various stages by which this can happen. Some people are really totally in bhakti, and their mind is completely attached to the Lord. For him, there is no activity. Like we know the example of Jada Bharata in Bhagavatam. He was born a transcendental person, but he just had to take a birth. So he took birth from childhood. He was just acting like a madman, and he was dealing differently because he didn't want to be disturbed by anybody. That stage of bhakti is very supreme. For such a person who is so mad after the Lord, not escapism. If somebody is just trying to act as if he's got a big bhakti, he doesn't want to fulfill his responsibilities, and that is not the type of person that we are talking about here. If a person is fully so much devoted, it's better we also enable him, help him, and take blessings from him. But normally, a devotee then knows what his responsibilities are, and that is where the gradual stages. The next question comes about varna and ashrama. The ashramas are the brahmacharya ashrama, the brahmacharya, the grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. So the Lord is gradually bringing it to a student life, to a responsible stage of grahastha ashrama, where you not only take care of your family, but you take care of all the other three classes. And then gradually, as you age, as you become mature, you're getting into vanaprastha. At that time, you are slowly moving out of all your connections to the material world, slowly and steadily, husband and wife together. And then you are totally getting on to the path of devotion. But sometimes some people may try to do it too fast, and that is where it needs to be taken carefully with a proper guru's guidance, whether somebody is doing it to escape the problem of a wife or escape the problem of taking care of a family. Kuch loan le liya hai, he's taken sannyas. That doesn't work that way. No, you can't. You need to do your activity properly. And ultimate stage is, yes, also give up work. We talk about the yoga ruksho and the yoga ruda stage in the very initial chapters of Bhagavad Gita. In the yoga ruda stage, when you cross that, At that stage, you can cease work. Till then, that work, as you are in the material body, has to continue. I hope that answers the question. The next question, again, I talked of Varna and Ashrama. The Varna also comes in, okay, which is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. The Lord says, Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaka. I have created this. How? By Guna and Karma. So it is not that somebody born a Brahmana as a Brahmana. Anybody can grow. Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. Everybody is born a Shudra. From a Shudra stage, you move on to become Janmana, Jayate, Shudra, etc. You move on to gradually purify yourself, and then you can take on the others. But the Lord has classified it based on the mentality of different people doing various activities. The Kali Yuga, it is said that even if a Brahmana is working for a salary, he is considered as a Shudra. Okay, so therefore, Kalau Shudra Sambhavaha. Therefore, from that particular angle, we have to understand that the Varna, and this is not just based on birth, but the Lord has categorized it, and this is applicable all over the world. In any part of the world, you have the military wing and the political wing, which is the Kshatriya. You have the intelligentsia, who are the teachers, the professors, the advisors, the consultants. You have the Vaishyas, your businessmen. The other Shudras who are the employee class. They can't think beyond. They can't do their own business. Their capacity to take risk or no. So, mentality-wise, people fit into it, and if you are good enough to do something else, you can always move to that particular platform. This is a vast topic. I'm giving you a very quick overview here. Over to you, Mohan. Any other question?
Yeah, I think the next question is also you can take. What is the journey to attain Krishna of those who worship impersonal form? Very much subject of today's discussion. So maybe you can take, Prabhu.
So when we say that the impersonalist does not reach the ultimate because he only sees up to the level of Satchit, he doesn't get to the stage of Ananda. It says that he has to rise up to that particular level of surrendering unto the Lord. Vasudevaha sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabhaha. He would need to get up to that path. Till then, it is a question of coming back again into the cycle of birth and death. Now, but because he has been an impersonalist and he has done great from that particular field, he will definitely have the opportunity to be born again in a nice family, to take on from where he is, to ultimately achieve and come to that for acceptance of point of worshipping the Lord in his personal form. That is the understanding from Srimad Bhagavatam and from the Vaishnava literatures. Mohan, you want to add anything to that? It's a complex question.
Yeah, I think it is quite complex. Basically what happens typically is that the soul goes to the Brahma Jyoti. He sits there actually in the he gets liberation. But the problem with that liberation is that he does not get to serve the Lord. So because the soul is always active, we saw in the 3rd chapter, the soul is very active. Now when he goes there, he doesn't do anything. So then he gets frustrated and he again comes down here, understands what the real form of the Lord is, and then he goes back at that point of time to Krishna. So that is what the actually journey is for an impersonalist. He finally has to become a personalist and then get liberated, basically. And we've seen that in the Bhagavatam and various other stories, which we will cover on later in that time. So next question is, please clarify difference between, I think it's impersonalist and the devotee of the Lord. So the impersonalist is a person who thinks that the supreme truth does not have any form. Yeah, he thinks that the supreme Lord or the supreme truth is only energy or he's only light, and he thinks I am also light. I am also same as the Lord. I am also light. I am also energy. The Lord is also energy. So that is what his consideration is. And in fact, an impersonalist becomes a Mayavadi when he thinks that I will merge with the light and I will also become God. Yeah. So that is the further classification of an impersonalist who becomes a Mayavadi, because he is envious of the Lord and he himself also wants to become the Lord. Yeah. So therefore, in Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, in the philosophies that we discuss here, being a Mayavada is considered to be extremely problematic, yeah, because it actually shows envy of the Lord, and that is the original reason why we have come in the material world. So therefore, impersonalists, when they start to want to become God, it becomes really problematic. There is no liberation for such people, is what is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
So the point is, one, they think that
the
Lord has no form. The second is, many times they think that I can become the Lord. So both are a problematic case. Yes, over to you, Mohan.
Yeah, and of course, devotee of the Lord, we saw what Srila Prabhu explained today in the 12th chapter. He is one who does everything for the Lord. He thinks the Lord is a person. He knows the Lord is a person, and the Lord is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Yeah, so that with that particular conception and the 10th chapter understanding, he worships the Lord and he basically gets liberation from all these dualities of life. Can you explain Satchit Anand manifestation of Krishna? Yes, Prabhuji, for you.
I think when we are going to get into Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll get into the detail. Very easily is eternal, is Sat. Means, when we say even the Jivatma is eternal, the Paramatma is definitely eternal, because the Jivatma is only a Amsha of the Lord. So he's eternal. Then there's nothing like appearance and disappearance of the Lord. He is permanently present. Then Chit is conscious and Ananda is always blissful. So even the Atma has got these qualities, and we say the Lord as Krishna has the final quality, and that Ananda comes from how we relate with the Lord. The Ananda doesn't just come internally, the Ananda comes with how we also have a relationship with the Lord. And that is where we say the personalist has a relationship. He's enjoying reading Srimad Bhagavatam about all the personal leelas of the Lord. He's having a personal rapport with the Lord. As an impersonalist, he does not even know what is the form of the Lord, how he has to deal with the Lord. He just prays to the Lord in the impersonal form. And he just worships the Lord without knowing his qualities. But as a personalist, he knows the qualities. He is able to, comprehend and deal with the Lord. And that brings about the Ananda aspect. Over to you, Mohan.
So next question from Sonali Mataji is very interesting. Hare Krishna, yesterday we heard an excellent quote. The greatness of a person is estimated by how he or she tolerates a provoking situation. However, what does one do if the tolerance is seen and portrayed as a sign of weakness? Yeah,
Can I take that, Mohan?
Yes,
So
please. Yes, please.
Yeah, I think we have covered this a few times before. Even today I was leading to that. Yes, we need to tolerate, but at a particular time, if you think somebody is taking advantage of you, you need to show him who you are without having to, I would say, do a tit for tat, but you have to at least do something to protect yourself. Okay, because we have a right to protect ourselves from an aggressor, of somebody who is in an adharmic way creating hinsa to you. So you need to know how to protect, and that's where I think in one of the earlier sessions I gave an example of how the snake was told not to bite, and so it was just lying down, it was being beaten. But then Narada said, I didn't tell you to just lie quiet, just hiss, show your hand, show your head, don't bite. So then the snake was saved. So sometimes in the material world, if you show yourself as a devotee, it is a sign of weakness. And I think I've dealt with this before. We need to be competitive and we need to show aggressiveness, but internally we need to be soft and we need to be completely connected to the Lord. Over.
Correct. I think just to add on to that, the 13th chapter discusses this quality of the devotee also. Actually, it says that to an enemy, you have to behave like an enemy. Why? Because you want to subdue the enemy so that the enemy's karma is reduced. Otherwise, if you also behave like an enemy and he also behaves like an enemy, then basically both your karmas go up. Yeah. So many times what happens, you have to actually behave like one. Yeah. And that is only to show mercy to the other person. You are not actually really angry for that person. Only to show or to control that other person, you have to behave that in that particular manner. Internally, yeah, like Prabhu said, you are very content and tolerated. Can a successful bhakti yoga discourse lead to ahankar? Yeah, so actually the key word is successful bhakti. Actually, successful bhakti, if it is there, it will never lead to ahankar. Yeah, but many times what happens when we do a show bottle bhakti, yeah, that is when ahankar comes. Yeah, that is what the real understanding is. Like if a tree is fully laden with fruit, yeah, it actually bends down. Yeah, it is humble. Yeah, like they say, vidya vinaya sampanne. That when you have vidya, what is the symptom of that vidya? It is vinay. Vinay means humbleness. Yeah. So same thing happens with successful bhakti. If you have successful bhakti, it will never lead to ahankar. Yeah, that is what the understanding is.
I have to answer this. We may only want to take another one or two questions, but one question from Gauri is, she's talking about 7 births, and you're married to a person for 7 janmas, etc. And is there only 7 janmas? And what is it? Is 7 lives thing a myth? Whatever said and done, even if it's 7 lives, sometimes we think, oh, this may be the last of the 7 lives. But the point here is, the relationships sometimes continue. Okay, it may not be in the same form, it may be in different forms, irrespective of what happens there. we need to understand that we all take millions of births. And Shastras say that two people come together like two twigs are coming on a river, and occasionally they are together, and when the wind blows differently, they get away. That's how life is. We come together, we lead life, we spend time with parents, with brothers, sisters, we have a family, and then slowly we all depart ways one by one, everybody disappears, and then we get another set of family and things like that. It's possible that if you're so devoted to your husband and so tied and attached to your husband, you may be born a few times to be, in the same relationship in somehow or the other. But then we are not concerned about this relationship. We are concerned about relationship with anybody who is going to help us give real relationship with Krishna. And that's a relationship. I don't mind taking millions of births if I'm attached to that Krishna. That should be a concept. So let's not worry about 7 births now. Over.
So let's take this one from Som Butler Prabhuji. We kill a mosquito sometimes. Is it ahimsa? Yeah, actually, it is himsa in one manner. But like Prabhuji said, it is our right to defend ourselves. Because what if the mosquito will give you malaria? Then you might not be able to chant nicely. Yeah. So with that particular thought process, we have to sometimes do this particular himsa. Yeah. And basically, if you are going to swap the word, just chant loudly Hare Krishna while you do it. Yeah, that's a practical way to understand, because you are defending yourself from something which might stop you from doing Lord Krishna's service. Yeah, so therefore it is required that you kind of defend yourself.
There are so many more beautiful questions. We don't know where to stop, but I want to stop at it on time when somebody is asking me, Prabhu, who were Nityananda and who were Nitai and Nimai? Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That brings us to the next topic today. I would like to pass it on to Jai Govind, or if Tulsi Govind Prabhu is there, to invite him to share. I would, me and Mohan will take leave of you today. Thank you very much. That completes the 12th chapter today. And there are so many questions as usual. All these questions will be answered and you will see it. But over to you. Let me have the pleasure of welcoming Tulsi Govind Prabhu on screen. Can you put on your video, please? Jai Govind, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Shivala Prabhu and Mohan Prabhu, for the wonderful session. Now we invite Tulsi Prabhu, since the question has come up, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who is Nimai Nitai. We request Tulsi Govind ji to explain about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just before Tulsi Prabhu, start speaking, just give a quick intro. Tulsi Prabhu is a bhakti yogi practitioner for more than 2.5 decades. He is an amazing person. He is a good orator. He has got a lot of skill in event management. He organizes major festivals and whatnot. So without taking much time, I invite Tulsi Prabhu to give a brief introduction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Over to you, Tulsi Prabhu.
Joy. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shivala Prabhu and Mohan Prabhu, for this question and answer session and the wonderful class before that. It was really one of my favorite chapters, chapter 12, Bhakti Yoga. Of course, it is the most important chapter also. So now, getting this opportunity in a very short time, I would like to introduce the Kali Yuga avatar, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, none other than Krishna himself, the most munificent Lord. So now, a short intro, let me see, well, I can finish. It's a very big subject matter. I would like to share some slides also on this. First of all, let us come to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by understanding the nature of a devotee and how, because of devotees concerned, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The devotees of the Lord are full of compassion and mercy and can never tolerate the suffering of living entities. When they witness the ignorance in which the jivas are trapped, thinking pain to be pleasure and not endeavoring to cross over the ocean of birth and death, they contemplate of ways to deliver them from that miserable state of life. It's the nature of the devotees. Considering this situation, Sri Narad Muni, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna and one of the Dwadasa Mahajans, 12 authorities on spiritual science, reached the conclusion that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, could rescue these jivas from their pitiable condition. Once, Lord Sri Krishna, upon seeing his most prominent queen, Devi Rukmani, profusely shedding tears of intense love and separation. He became worried and questioned her again and again the reason for her painful state. When Rukmini told the Lord that although he was the knower of all that is to be known, he was not aware of the love that his devotees feel for him. And therefore, he would not be able to understand her feelings. That's Rukmini Devi telling Lord Krishna. She further said to him, "O my Lord, your lotus feet are my very life and soul, and the pain which I feel when I think that you will leave my chambers soon is making me cry. Only Srimati Radhika can understand these feelings, for she is the topmost embodiment of love." When Sri Krishna heard this, he was amazed to know that there was something which he did not comprehend and requested Rukmini to explain it to him further. Upon his request, she began explaining the love that the devotees feel for the Lord and the unlimited glories of his own two lotus feet. She then said that only when he would cultivate Radha Bhav, the mood of Radha Rani, the moods of Radha, Srimati Radhika, would he be able to understand her feelings. Hearing this, Sri Krishna felt great jubilation in his heart, and a desire to taste Radha Bhav appeared in his heart. Just then, Narada Muni appeared there and was respectfully and affectionately welcomed by the Lord, who sat him on his throne and washed his lotus feet. He then inquired about the reason behind the sad expression on his face. To this, Narad Muni answered, "My dear Lord, I am always engaged in singing your glories and spreading love of Godhead throughout the universe. During my wanderings, I came upon the jivas who are entrapped in the clutches of Maya and are being bitten by the snake of Kali. They are living in a miserable condition of life, thinking pain to be pleasure and being engrossed in satisfying their senses. They are so fallen that they are not able to take to the path of bhakti even if I try very hard to give your holy names to them. My Lord, you must bestow your mercy upon them and appear on the earthly planet to re-establish dharma." The desire of the devotees of the Lord is the desire of the Lord. He is always eager to fulfill the aspirations of his devotees. Hearing Narada Muni and deciding to taste Radha Bhav on the other side, Krishna decided to appear on this earthly planet in the form of Sachinandana Gaurahari. Thinking thus, he displayed his golden complexion transcendental form to Narada Muni and Rukmini Devi, who were astonished to see this form of the Lord and felt greatly pleased in their hearts upon beholding Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He then declared that he would appear as a devotee in Navadvip in the house of Jagannath Mishra from the womb of Sachi Devi and would freely distribute love of Godhead and the holy names while relishing the moods of Srimati Radhika. Thus, Sri Krishna appeared as Sri Sachinandana Gaurahari to deliver all the conditioned living entities and to taste Radha Bhav. This beautiful story has been narrated by Sri Lochanadas Thakur in his book Sri Chaitanya Mangal, which is the treasure chest of the honey like sweet pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now apart from this, we have Chaitanya Charitra by Murari Gupta explaining about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. We have Chaitanya Mangala by Lochana Das Thakur. Then we have Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Okay. We have Chaitanya Charitamritam by Krishna Kaviraj Goswami, Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami. So these are the scriptures, where we have detailed information about the pastimes, about the reasons, and so many things with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a very big treatise. We have to go through this once we accept Vaishnavism and follow the footsteps of the Mahajans. So this is the scripture for us. After we go through Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and then we come to this Chaitanya Charitamritam and other scriptures. So now a few words what we heard about the advent, the reason. Now here we have Advait Acharya. Now you can see this Advaita Acharya, he is none other than Sadashiva and combined avatar of Mahavishnu. He is the combined avatar of Mahavishnu and Sadashiva. He was there before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. He set the scene for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to appear. He prayed. Okay. He prayed with just Ganges water, Ganga Jal, and Tulsi Dal to his Shaligram deity, and for the Lord to appear on this earth. This is now just 532 years back when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. He worshipped Krishna with Tulsi leaves and water of Ganges and called for him in a loud voice. Thus, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on earth accompanied by his personal associates. This is Adi Leela. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see that, okay, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangasra Pashadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayajanti Hi Sumedasa. This is an indication that Lord Shri Krishna will come in the Kali Yuga as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the translation goes, in the age of Kali, the intelligent people perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the holy name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Okay. Then we have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's a photograph showing how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born to Sachi Devi. This is from Garuda Puran. It was predicted there in Garuda Puran. Okay. And I will not go through the shlokas, just go through the translations, lack of time. In the first part of Kali Yuga, I will appear in my complete spiritual form in Mayapur, Navadvipa, and become the son of Sachi. This is Garuda Puran. Then I shall take birth as the son of Sachi, assuming a golden form in a beautiful place on the bank of the Bhagirathi Ganges in the first part of Kali Yuga. Okay. The Supreme Lord, who assumed the form of a half man, half lion in the Satyuga to cure the dreadful disease that had devastated the Daityas, and who appearing as Rama conquered the 10-headed Ravana in the Treta Yuga, and who removed the burden of the earth in the Dwapar Yuga and protected the cowherd men of Rajapura, will be the Lord by name Chaitanya in the Kali Yuga. He will have a golden form and will take pleasure in chanting the Lord's holy names. This is another prediction. Okay. Inwardly Krishna, but outwardly a golden form. I will be accompanied by my associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Taking my birth in the womb of Sachi, I will accept the role of a devotee. Okay. This is again Bhavishya Puran. O austere sage, everyone will see my transcendental form as a sannyasi in the age of Kali. I will be displaying symptoms like shedding tears of bliss and hair standing on end out of ecstasy. And this one from Vayu Purana. Okay. On the full moon day of the month of Phalguna, conjoined with the star Phalguni, I will appear in a golden form begotten by Purandara in the womb of Shachi. Okay. Now, when you see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appearing as devotee, he assumed the golden complexion of Radharani. He is a Mishrit avatar of Krishna and Radha. Shri Chaitanya, Radha Krishna nahi anya. He is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. I mean, Krishna coming in the mood of Radharani to taste the bhav of Radharani, as we just read Rukmini Devi talking about this. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna himself. But now, why do we have to go through all the pramanas, all the evidences, shastric evidences? This is very much required. What we understand, what we believe in, depends upon certain factors. Okay, there is a Pratyaksh Praman, then there is Anuman Praman, and higher than these two is the Shabd Praman, the words of the scripture, the words of the Lord. They are the ultimate evidence, the Praman for us. Okay. Normally, we are influenced by traditions and cultures. What has been there for years, for decades, for centuries. And we are born with that mindset, so we tend to have belief. A belief system is developed. Okay. Similarly, the culture, when we see everywhere the same thing happening, the same things being repeated, and then we have the tendency to have some belief system on working on that. But our belief should be only and only dependent on the Shastric evidence, the words of the Lord, the words of the Shastras, the Vedic authorities, the scriptural authorities. So, for us, for those who follow the spiritual path, follow the Mahajanas, follow the great leaders, spiritual leaders of the past, we have to be dependent on Shastras, evidences, the Sanskrit references given in the Shastras. Otherwise, we'll be misled, especially in this Kali Yuga. We'll be misled by so many imposters coming here and claiming different things. Therefore, we are very fortunate that we are in association of uh, devotees of the Lord, uh, and we, under the shelter of Srila Prabhupada and the entire parampara, we are very, very fortunate uh, to have a first hand direct experience from the Shastras, uh, as spoken by all the sages, by all the authorities, uh, right from Satya Yuga to Treta Yuga and Dwapar Yuga and now Kali Yuga. So we must take advantage of our great fortune of being associated with Srila Prabhupada and his followers, and get the right information from the Shastras. Like, for example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent, we will not find everywhere, but this is Shastra evidence. And those who follow this, those who believe in this, those who take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will definitely taste the bliss of bhakti. And especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent is meant for inaugurating the uh, Kali Yuga Dharma, the Yuga Dharma, Harinama Sankirtana, which in the Srimad Bhagavatam is described in the last verse. Okay, the Yuga Dharma of this Kali Yuga is Nama Sankirtana, and none other than Krishna himself came with Radharani Bhav as a devotee to introduce this system of Nama Sankirtana and Japa Yagya to all of us. So let us take advantage of this association and great heritage and the treasure we have, and in this lifetime uh, we get our spiritual success and go back home, back to Patit. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. I think I have exceeded some time limit. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Tulsi Prabhu. That was amazing. We have few announcements to make now. I request Chiran to come over and make some few announcements regarding quizzes and our question and answer blog, etc. Over to you, Chiran.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much to Tulsi Govind ji for this wonderful enlightenment on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We did have quite a few questions over the past week about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we're very happy that we were able to cover this session in detail today. I want to take your quick time to make announcements that we've made also over the past few days. The first very important one is to just highlight our website where we've posted the Kahoot quizzes. So by chance you've missed some of our messages that we've been posting on the Zoom chat, if you go to bit.do/essence of Gita, for which I'll put the Zoom chat right here, you'll first of all be able to find the Kahoot quizzes under participant material. So if you click on participant material, you scroll down, we've moved it up from the bottom to the top. First thing you'll find is a Kahoot quiz. I know Jaganji did cover in small detail about what the Kahoot quiz is and how you can go and sign up. You just click on it. It's so simple. Just put your name down and you can go straight into the quiz. It's very, very straightforward. Please do click it. Please do have a go. I saw some of the quizzes and some of the numbers we're getting is fantastic. We have 100 plus people who are actually attempting these quizzes, going and having a go. More than
Hey,
anything.
Chiranjeev Sham, I think the screen, if you're sharing, is not coming up. It's just a black screen.
Okay. Let me try that again. Are you able to see my screen now? Is this better?
No, Prabhu, it is still
No.
showing a black screen.
Okay.
Shyam,
Apologize.
can I share otherwise?
Yeah, sure. Let me just try one last time. If you're
Ah,
still
it's
seeing
come, it's
black
come,
Yeah,
screen.
it's come.
it has
Yeah?
come. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this is the website I'm talking about. If you go under participant material on bit.do/essence of Gita, you'll be able to see that the first section is the Kahoot quizzes. So please do go attempt. Like I was saying, we have large numbers of people who are actually doing these quizzes, and you can see that it's actually helping them recollect the Bhagavad Gita. The second thing we want to talk about is, of course, if you scroll down through participant material, I had quite a few messages coming up to me regarding the YouTube videos. So as you know, we are posting all of the classes that are happening on YouTube, and we're posting it normally the same night or maximum the next morning. So if you scroll down to participant material and scroll to the end, you'll be able to find the video for the latest session that has happened. So this is chapter 11, which is the session that happened yesterday. So if you come back here tomorrow morning, you'll be able to find chapter 12's session. So it's always updated with the latest video. So you can come back and refer here in case you're not able to find the YouTube link anywhere else. The third thing I wanted to cover is this wonderful compilation of question and answers that we have compiled over the last few days. So if you come to participant questions and blog, you will be able to find the Q&A chats. So over the past week or so, we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions, which is amazing because for us, the sole purpose of this course and a sole driver, a KPI for us that we know that the course is going well is if we have questions coming to us. So when we do have these questions, we try to assemble these questions, compile it. We have a team of amazing people who are sitting at the back behind the screen, spending hours to answer these questions with the most rigorous detail and very complete. And so please do have a look at these questions. So if you go to participant questions and blog, you'll be able to find under chapter wise Q&A, which will be the first section. You'll be able to find chapter 1, 2, and 3, which are the 3 chapters we've posted as of now. We're going to keep posting more and more as the week goes. And so by the time we reach the end of the course, we're going to make sure that all your chat message questions are answered here. And remember this, when we do answer the questions, like was said earlier, like Tulsi Govindji was saying earlier, everything that we do has a base in Shastra, right? And so that way we make sure that all the questions are answered with reference to proper Vedic Shastric references and also referencing the writer of the Bhagavad Gita as it is and our founder Acharya, His Grace, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So please do come here and you get the most comprehensive answers that you can find here. If by chance you're not able to join the Zoom call and you have a question that you want to submit that we can answer later offline, we also have a Google form here that you can submit your questions. It's very easy. You just need to put your name, you need to put your email and what your question is, and we'll get back to you and we'll post the question on the same website. So we also want to take this opportunity to reach out to you, and I want to request if you can put some chat messages back to us and let us know first of all how you're liking the material, but more importantly let us know if the Q&A material that we are posting is clear for you, is concise, it's able to answer all your questions, and whether you're able to find this easily. So if you can just post a couple of messages, maybe even a thumbs up and a yes, that would be fantastic, so we know that we're moving the right direction and we're able to get our content across to you very, very easily. So again, please do not forget to join our social media channels. There are many ways that you can actually get in touch with us. So we have a WhatsApp group, we have a Telegram group, of course we have a website as you're seeing, and we also have a YouTube page. So there are quite a few media channels that you can get in touch with us. Hopefully, by the end of this course, we'll also be announcing more social media channels, including Facebook and Instagram. So please do keep in touch with us so that you get updates on this course, but also on the future courses that we're going to publish. Thank you so much. I'm sorry for keeping you up just for a couple of minutes, but thank you so much for being a part of this course and making it what it is today. If you have any questions, any issues with connection, please do not hesitate to message any one of us back. If you're wondering who to message, you can find the admin who's posting the messages on the WhatsApp groups. You can either message one of the admins or you can also email us in the daily broadcast you're getting. Now, saying email, it's possible that some of the emails are going to your spam or junk inboxes. So please do check your spam and junk and just make sure you're moving them to your normal inboxes. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Good night and stay safe. Over to you, Jagwanji.
Yeah, thank you, Chiran. That was fantastic. Okay, please take some time, give your feedback, which is very important for us. Okay, till again, tomorrow we have 2 chapters coming up. Please log in on the same time, 7:30 p.m. UAE time. Till then, stay safe. Good night.